Welcome to Connection Oasis. We're Hope and Rene, two friends sharing our stories, lessons, and laughter. Live in the moment. What in the world does that even mean?
I thought that live in the moment was one of those frame prints, that you hang on the wall, like
Yes.
live, laugh, love, or, something like that.
Yes, totally. Like, I agree. I thought it was like, okay, put your phone down, engage in what's going on, be calm, even zen. Um, it was just such a vague concept, and it definitely felt optional, like an
hmm
experience that you decided to have, and not necessarily an essential part of your day.
Absolutely. But once I started working on myself, I realized what an important piece of the puzzle that it actually is. I think live in the moment means many things. Living
Hmm.
in past experiences is something that we both found ourselves doing.
Yes, like it was tainted. Everything that was happening in the present was tainted by the past. Once I started noticing that, I couldn't unsee it. And it reminds me of you probably seen these reels where like a wife is in front of the camera. She's like, my husband just told me he doesn't love me in a very dramatic way, right? A definite way. Like she's convinced these were his words. And the
hmm
husband jumps in. He's like, that's not what I said. And she's like, well, what did you say then? And he's like, I said we can't afford that designer handbag. You can't buy that. She's like, see, he said he didn't love me. It's funny, but honestly, it's so true. And I think it's pretty amazing to me how many times I saw myself doing that and what it actually looked like. And not really listening to the own words in my own conversations, but assigning those meanings.
I have suffered most of my life with feelings of inadequacy. Those feelings stemmed from the abuse that I suffered as a child.
Hmm.
And additionally, my difficult family dynamic really only intensified those feelings. And so all my interactions were framed through that lens.
Right.
As a teenager, I can remember, sitting in class, as everyone does,
Hmm.
and I might hear people, giggling or chuckling on the other side of the room. And
Hmm.
just that sound and nothing else, just that sound would trigger anxiety for me.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, shaky hands, the stabbing in your chest, the hyper focus. I couldn't hear anything except the giggling.
Hmm.
And all of that is just based on a sound that had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
But it was that voice in my head that's telling me that all of those giggles were most certainly about me. Do I have food on my face? Are
Hmm.
my jeans unzipped? Is my hair messed up? Um, that voice in my head, it seemingly hated me.
We really can be our own worst enemies, that is for sure. And yeah, I mean that view, it was tainted just like I experienced. And I used to walk away from conversations feeling completely certain about what was said and even more certain about what was meant. And it often had very little to do with the actual words that were said, but me instantly assigning meaning to them. Like I already knew what was underneath them. I know what you're saying. I know what you're feeling. I know all of that, but not listening to the words. And it felt so justified. And as we look back, we were both basically doing the same thing. We were
Mhm.
reacting to the past and not what was actually happening in the present.
So true. That voice in my head, well, she's me. And I can attest to the fact that at that age, she did hate me. And
Oh,
that all of those perspectives were absolutely formed and colored by past experiences, not anything to do with what was happening in the moment, you know.
hmm.
Um, and I think there just came a point at which, for whatever reason, I just decided I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
So I just would ask myself in the moment, what if they are talking about me? What does that mean for me? And,
Mm-hmm.
how about who even are these people? I mean, do I know them? Do I like them? Do I care if they talk about me or laugh about me? Um, and so I decided that even though my initial reaction was that anxiety, um, I still can attempt to look at the situation in a rational way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so what I literally had to do was I had to try and reason myself through that thought process and questioning, all of those things. And then each time that I have this anxiety, this irrational reaction, I just started this process of just reasoning my way through.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I had to do the same thing. And to be honest, I'm going to be completely honest here. It was never my idea, but I was pushed by a person that I have a lot of contact with to actually stop and listen to the words. And I was often asked, what were the words I said? Not what you heard. What did I say? And that's when I had to step back and be like, oh, wow, there is a disconnect between what was actually said and what I assigned meaning to. Um, that is still a habit I am working to take care of because it just so easy to assign that meaning and not actually listen to what the other person was saying. Like, and I look back at many of those conversations and I'm like, you know what? I blame that person for hurting my feelings, but I'm the one who hurt my feelings. Like I took that sentence and I made it into this feeling that was never meant by that person. And so I had to take responsibility for some of that hurt that I was just causing myself. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's exactly what I was doing. And not only that, but you can imagine the frustration that the other person was experiencing like in these conversations, like, I didn't say that. That's not what I meant. But oh no, I was sure of it. I was sure that's what they said, and it was what they meant. And so many of those conversations ended in total confusion. Like, that's just
Yes.
how they ended. Not because of what was said, but because of the meaning I was twisting it into. And I just never really fully heard that person. And that's when I really started to think, I wasn't in that moment. I was in all of my past experiences showing up that way in that moment.
Absolutely. I think just the process of rationalizing my way through, what's happening right now, helped me to understand that I'm having this reaction and that it's absolutely not based on what happened across the room. It's based on what happened in my head, and that's colored by me. So living
Mm-hmm.
in the moment to me means being aware of how my previous scars and experiences could color my present moments and interactions. And then once I accepted that those things are hampering my ability to find beauty and joy in the moment, then I can choose to find a way to change it.
Right.
And in the past, we've talked about doing the reps.
Yes.
And so doing the reps for me was just forcing myself to take a second
Mm-hmm.
and to recognize what am I actually seeing, and then to force myself to go through those rational questions, about what I'm seeing. And then the more often that I force myself to take those steps, then the more quickly I became able to recognize that I was having this reaction that's emotional, and it's based on the past and not what's happening right in front of me. And I can't say that it's done. I'm going to check that off the list. It's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a process, and I still sometimes catch myself doing that, but at this point, it's far less frequently.
Right. Yes. Me too. Even now I have to slow things down. And that's something you said that works for you as well. Um, because once those emotions, they can hit me like a freight train and I just start barreling down the tracks. And so I have to slow down and I have to really make sure I'm listening to the words that are being said. And, I guess there is a connection between living in the moment and all those things I initially thought it was. But for me, putting down my phone, being more zen, or actually engaging, I now see those more as the tools to live in the moment and not the definition.
Yeah.
And so now living in the moment to me, it actually means that I'm processing and reacting to what is really happening and not tainting it with old meanings, feelings, and especially judgments, and letting that moment sit in its own space.
That's beautifully said. I think that living in the moment means something a little bit unique to everyone who seeks to try to live in the moment. We all have a similar and yet very individual experience that shapes our perspective. So for me, seeking to understand myself and the experiences that shaped me, I found a way forward. I found a path to the joy and the beauty that I've always wished for. So by seeking to live in the moment, I've been able to find more joy and I continue to find more and more beauty in my life. So
For sure. Yeah.
it's a great deal of work,
Yes, it is.
but I think it's been more rewarding than I even expected it to be.
Yeah. Taking that phrase from a really vague concept
We're wall
and
hanging.
lying and defining it for yourself and then putting that into action, I think that can make huge changes. And it's not easy. It's not, honestly, it's not something someone can do for you. Thanks for joining us here at Connection Oasis, where we discuss real life lessons about relationships and boundaries.
And becoming who you actually are without the fluff.